I was recently invited to play my first game of Mordheim. Now, if you've never heard of it, Mordheim is a classic fantasy skirmish game from 1999. And even though it hasn't been officially supported in years, it still has a really passionate community of players. Now, the one thing I need to play is a warband. So I started looking through all the different ones, and the one that jumped out to me immediately was the Dwarf Treasure Hunters. The second I saw them, I got an idea. I decided to take these gems and this dwarf kit and try to smash the gemstones so that I could cover the dwarves with their bases, weapons, and armor so they look like they had been treasure hunting for years. So, time to see if this will actually work. Let's get into it. It's finally time to start building the warband. In Mordheim, every warband starts with a pile of gold that you spend on different warriors and their equipment. Each faction has its own required units, and for the Dwarven Treasure Hunters, I'll be building a noble first. So I'm laying everything out so I can decide who fits each role best. Right away, I'm loving this kit. The legs and torsos are already attached, so building these dwarves is mostly just mixing and matching heads and arms. For the noble, I pick the body with the flared robe, then start digging through the weapons. I eventually landed on this pickaxe. Now, for a group of treasure hunters all covered in minerals, I thought this was the perfect weapon. Then I put a pistol in his offhand and he was ready to go. Now that I've finished my noble, we can move on to taking care of the engineer. I think it would be cool to give the engineer probably whatever the one of the weird looking weapons that we have. Since he's the one keeping all of the equipment running, I wanted to give his gear a little bit more flair. I like this sword that I found, and I like the idea that they would maybe decorate these swords in their treasure and almost have them like family heirlooms. Then there were the clansmen, who are the backbone of this little army. So for these guys, I'm going to give them all matching swords and matching pistols. Now, unfortunately, I only put together 3 and then realized later that I needed 4. Now that our beardlings are done, it was time to move on to the troll slayers, which typically are dwarves with dual axes, which luckily this kit actually will let us do. Now, the one caveat about these troll slayer guys is you can only have 2 in your warband at a time. So I'll have these 2 be our troll slayers, and then these next 2 I'll have to decide where they'll go in our little merry band of treasure hunters. So as I went back to building the kit, I realized I might have made a mistake. What I thought was a right arm, left arm axe option is actually all right arms. So I decided to take some of the extra pistol arms I had and cut the pistol off and try and attach an axe to it so that I can get that dual axe wielding troll slayer look. I then snip off the barrel, snip off the axe piece, add it together, and it was ready to go. You can barely tell that it used to be a pistol hand. Now that we're done with our troll slayers, the only thing left in my warband is I have 2 more spots open, or actually 1 more spot because it's a 9-man squad, for a Dwarven clansman. And this guy is going to have our gun. For him, I am grabbing this ridiculous Gatling gun that I think will be perfect covered in gems. And with our final and 9th member out of the way, we have this wonderful gun that I'm very excited to cover up in gemstones. So with all of our crew finally assembled, we can move over to the painting. With the building finished, it's time to get some paint on these guys. I'm starting with a black primer followed by Army Painter Matte White for a quick zenithal. Once that's done, I bring them back over to my painting desk, and the first color going down is Magic Blue Speed Paint. I want the robes to have a muted blue that'll support the gemstones instead of competing with them. Since the gems are the stars of this project, everything else needs to frame them. These models take to speed paint really well, so the robes come together very quickly. I do have one observation though. The backs of their pants are hilarious. They've all got these little tiny dwarf butts, and it cracks me up every single time. Next, I'm blocking in all the leather with snakebite leather. I'm definitely a little messy in a few places, but once I clean everything up, the blue and brown end up working really well together. Now it's time for the metallics. I'm sticking almost everything with silver because I want the gemstones to do all the heavy lifting for the colors. Instead of looking rich, I want these dwarves to look like they've earned every shiny thing they're carrying. While I'm painting, I keep looking at the helmets. At first, I think about changing them, but then I started to think, what if these dwarves actually have these armored helmets as part of their story, almost as if they're becoming one with the treasure itself. And then I add an additional bronze to all the beards and mustaches, which immediately cracks me up because the idea of dwarves making custom built helmets that their beards and mustaches all fit into is something that'll keep me chuckling at these guys for a long time. With the painting finished, it's finally time to smash some gems. I throw everything into a bag first because I want to save all the tiny fragments for basing material. My first idea was using an anvil, and that doesn't work at all. These things are way tougher than I expected. So instead of embracing my inner Norland Greymane, I decided to dump them on the table and start whacking away with the hammer. Before long, I've got gem fragments flying everywhere, pieces bouncing across the table, and somehow I've turned miniature painting into a demolition project. Eventually, I end up with exactly what I need. I pull out all the oversized pieces, I grab the noble, spray some adhesive over the top, and immediately start rummaging into the pile of gems. I then continued that for the remainder of the dwarves in the warband, and as I put the setting glue on each one, the gems and minerals started to stick to my hobby desk, specifically my cutting mat, more and more. So fortunately, I was able to get a lot of the material onto the miniatures themselves, but I did have to sacrifice a cutting mat in the process. With all of the gems on the model, the only thing left to do was to add a nice black rim to the bases and hit each and every one of them with a wash so that we could bring back all the details we lost, both with the painting as well as the mineral dust that we had kind of blasted them with. Once all of that was done, these guys were finally ready to hit the table. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, definitely like and subscribe for more stuff just like this. And if you have any other suggestions for some games that I should check out, like Mordheim, definitely leave them down in the comments below. But that's it for now. See you on the next one. Later.